Hey everyone, welcome. I am here with Rampy. I am giving him some treats because he has been doing such an amazing job. So thank you very much, Rampy, for being such a natural. Um, Thank you for joining us in another book reading of Because of Winn-Dixie by Kate DiCamillo. We are now on chapter 8. And I'm excited to see if in chapter 8, Opal will make another friend. We will see. So follow along on the book reading of Because of Winn-Dixie by Kate DiCamillo. Winn-Dixie's bald spots started growing fur, and the fur that he had to begin with started looking shiny and healthy, and he didn't limp anymore. And you can tell that he was proud of looking so good, proud of not looking like a stray. So if you have a dog, you pretty much know that they need to get groomed, especially if they have a lot of hair like Rampy. And Winn-Dixie, he actually got groomed by Opal. So he now is looking very decent, very nice, very presentable, and he's no longer limping. So that's good. I thought what he needed most was a collar and a leash, so I went into Gertrude's Pets where there were fish and snakes and mice and lizards and gerbils and pet supplies, and I found a real handsome red leather collar with a matching leash. And you already know a leash is something that we should have if we have a dog. I will tell you that we have a rabbit and we are getting him a leash to take Trix out for a walk just in the backyard where no one can see us. Winn-Dixie was not allowed to come inside the store. There was a big sign on the door that said, "No dogs allowed." So I held the collar and the leash up to the window, and Winn-Dixie, who was standing on the other side of the window, pulled up his lip and showed me his teeth and sneezed and wagged his tail something furious. So I knew he absolutely loved that leash and collar combination, but it was very expensive. And for Rampy, what we have for Rampy is not a collar or a leash. I mean, we do have his leash, but we don't have a collar because he would just pull on his leash, and so it would sound like he was choking. And so we got him a harness, which works a lot better. And we're all happy that he likes his harness. I decided to explain my situation to the man behind the counter. I said, "I don't get a big enough allowance to afford something this fancy, but I love this collar and leash, and so does my dog, and I was thinking that maybe you can set me up on an installment plan." And an installment plan is where it's like a payment plan. She's paying him probably $5 whenever she gets an allowance or whatever the price of the leash and collar is. "Installment plan?" said the man. "Gertrude!" somebody screamed in a real irritating voice. I looked around. It was a parrot. She was sitting on top of one of the fish tanks looking right at me. "An installment plan," I said, ignoring the parrot. "You know, where I promise to give you my allowance every week and you give me the leash and the collar now?" "I don't think I can do that," said the man. He shook his head. "No, the owner, she wouldn't like that." He looked down at the counter. He wouldn't look at me. He had thick black hair and it was slicked back like Elvis Presley's. So Elvis Presley was a famous singer that had his hair always slicked back. It was really just always nicely slicked, like a sharp look, sort of like Count Dracula. He had on a name tag that said Otis. "Or I could work for you," I said. "I could come in and sweep the floors and dust the shelves and take out the trash. I can do that." I looked around Gertrude's Pets. There was sand and sunflower seed shells and big dust bunnies all over the floor. I can tell that it needed to be swept. And yes, usually when you have lots of dust bunnies, that's just like a ball of hair or dust, spider webs all collected. And that just means that it needs to be cleaned. I'm pretty sure in these days, a lot of people don't have dust bunnies anymore because maybe they've been deep cleaning their houses and other areas of their homes. Said Otis. He looked down at the counter some more. Gertrude! The parrot screamed again. I'm real trustworthy, I said. So trustworthy is that she's really nice. She's a good person. She's someone that you can trust. I'm new in town, but my daddy's a preacher. He's the preacher at the Open Arms Baptist Church of Naomi, so I'm real honest. But the only thing is Winn-Dixie, my dog. He would have to come inside with me because if we get separated for too long, he starts to howl something terrible. Gertrude doesn't like dogs, said Otis. Is she the owner? I asked. Yes, no, he finally looked up. He pointed at the fish tank. That Gertrude, the parrot. I named her after the owner. Gertrude's a pretty bird, screamed Gertrude. She might like Winn-Dixie, I told Otis. Almost everybody does. Maybe he could come inside and meet her, and if the two of them get along, then could I have the job? So what do you guys think? Do you think Winn-Dixie would make a mess like at the store? Let's find out. Maybe, Otis mumbled. He looked down at the counter again. So I went and opened the door, and Winn-Dixie came trotting on inside the store. Dog! Screamed Gertrude. I know it, Otis told her. And then Gertrude got real quiet. She sat on the top of the fish tank and cocked her head from one side to the other, looking at Winn-Dixie. And Winn-Dixie stood and stared back at her. He didn't hardly move. He didn't wag his tail. He didn't smile. He didn't sneeze. He just stared at Gertrude, and she stared at him. And then she spread her wings out real far and flew and landed on top of Winn-Dixie's head. Dog! She croaked. And if you're visualizing that, that is a really funny scene to visualize. Just seeing this parrot going back and forth looking at Winn-Dixie, and then all of a sudden she's flying and landing on top of his head. Winn-Dixie wagged his tail just a little tiny bit, and Otis said, You can start on Monday. Thank you, I told him. You won't be sorry. On the way out of Gertrude's Pets, I said to Winn-Dixie, You are better at making friends than anybody I have ever known. I bet if my mama knew you, she would think you were the best dog ever. Winn-Dixie was smiling up at me, and I was smiling down at him, and so neither one of us was looking where we were going, and we almost bumped right into Sweetie Pie Thomas. She was standing there sucking on the knuckle of her third finger, staring in the window of Gertrude's Pets. She took her finger out of her mouth and looked at me. Her eyes were all big and round. Was that bird sitting on that dog's head? She asked. She had her hair tied up in a ponytail with a pink ribbon. So you can imagine this little girl just amazed of how she just got to witness this parrot sitting on Winn-Dixie's head, and she's just in awe. But it wasn't much of a ponytail. It was mostly ribbon and a few strands of hair. Yes, I told her. I seen it, she said. She nodded her head and put her knuckle back in her mouth. Then she took it out again real quick. I seen that dog in church too. He was catching a mouse. I want a dog just like it, but my mama won't let me get no dog. She says if I'm real good, I might get to buy me a goldfish or one of them gerbils. That's what she says. Can I pet your dog? Sure, I told her. Sweetie Pie stroked Winn-Dixie's head so long and serious that his eyes drooped half closed and drool came out of the side of his mouth. So Winn-Dixie's just loving it, and all dogs love to be patted on their head and just, it's just so relaxing. Right, Rampy? Do you like that? I'm going to be 6 years old in September. I got to stop sucking on my knuckle once I'm 6, said Sweetie Pie. I'm having a party. Do you want to come to my party? The theme is pink. Sure, I told her. Can this dog come? She asked. You bet, I told her. And all of a sudden, I felt happy. I had a dog. I had a job. I had Miss Franny blocked for a friend. And I had my first invitation to a party in Naomi. It didn't matter that it came from a 5-year-old and that the party wasn't until September. I didn't feel so lonely anymore. So that's the end of chapter 8. And I am very happy to hear that now Opal is just making all these kinds of friends and of all different age groups. So the question for today is Opal has 2 new friends. So we know it's all because of Winn-Dixie. Do you think that maybe Winn-Dixie had owners before and maybe he just got lost and became a stray dog? That's why he's so nice? Think about it. And then you can respond on your Google Classroom or just have a self-talk or a dinner talk. So thank you so much for watching another video with Miss Jimenez and Rampy. And yes, Rampy usually, this is his relaxation time now because he just gets to sit here and take a little nap. And don't forget, if you want to keep buzzing about books, keep reading with Queen Bee. Bye.